What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope everyone's having a good day. Not too much to cover in the markets today. This will be sort of a shorter episode, with this being the big week, though. Tuesday is the interest rate announcement, and Wednesday is the GDP data release. So those will be much more bigger episodes. This episode will be a little bit more condensed, but we still got some interesting stuff to cover and some weekend price action. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button in the bottom right corner of the screen. Follow me on Twitter at bencryptoshow. There's my page right there. And let's begin. So first, let's do a quick little wrap-up of last week. There was a lot of action last week. Probably the biggest story was Tesla dumping 3/4 of their Bitcoin holdings on Thursday. I mean, just the fact they dumped their Bitcoin holdings didn't really matter too much. It appears to be it was more of a panic sell at the direction of the CFO, I'm guessing. Again, we see a lot of this stuff with institutional buyers specifically. You know, the CFO, he kind of thinks a little bit differently. He's not quite as attached to Bitcoin, so he doesn't really deal with any negative PR the way Elon Musk would. The CFO's job is just specifically to make sure they have enough cash on hand at all times. And so with the COVID lockdowns a few months ago that looked like a looming threat, and Tesla's supply chain is in China, they wanted to maximize their cash position, and since that's the CFO's job specifically, and if, their cash position went to zero because those lockdowns turned out to be much worse than anticipated, even though they didn't. But if that happened, then, the CFO's job is on the line. So it's just kind of a different mindset right there with the institutional players, investors, companies, whatever you want to call that. So that's what I believe is behind that sale there. The news of it kind of caused a little bit of a market dip from about 23,600 to 22,000, rebounded slightly. The actual selling, that happened a few months ago, and it did spread that out, it appears it wasn't just like an instant 1 hour panic sell. That would have actually caused the markets to tank. So the sale itself didn't do anything, but the announcement of it, anything Tesla and Elon does tend to move the markets. So that's what we saw last Thursday with that price dip. The other big news of the day, I'm sure on Twitter you see all sorts of stuff. Whales are, moving coins from one wallet to the other, or miners are capitulating, or the Mt. Gox funds might, send the markets into the shockwaves. Honestly, in my opinion, all that stuff is kind of just nonsensical stuff. Doesn't really have too much of an effect on the markets. But this is something that does have an effect on the markets. The 1.7 billion ETH futures purchase. We don't know if it was a buy or sale, but it was an ETH futures contract was initiated, meaning purchased last Thursday in a quick 1 hour. They entered the whole thing in 1 hour, meaning this person was just in a rush. We don't know if it was a buy or sell. It kind of feels more like a buy. Maybe there could be a trend following. Maybe they think the bottom is in. This could be like a 3 hours capital type of purchase. This could be from a big fund who's just not having a good year, and they're placing one, swinging for the fences, revenge trade, sort of big trade to kind of get themselves on pace with the other hedge funds now that the end of the year is closer approaching. Their audited end of the year statements are coming up where they have to get, fully square with investors. So regardless of whether it's that sort of kind of reckless trade or not, we don't know if it's a buy or sell. If it's a long, then that's fine. That's good. If the markets keep going up, if there were like a nuke or black swan event that then took the markets down slightly, then this is the kind of trade that would get liquidated immediately and cause prices to fall quicker. But that would pretty much only happen if there was some additional nuke or black swan event. Just the interest rate announcements and any other minor macro announcements, really, in my opinion, are not going to cause any negative price movement. I think the bottom's in. As I said, I think we're going to kind of slowly creep up, and that is my opinion. But this trade is definitely something to watch for. You also got to wonder, the other big whales, they might know what the liquidation price on this trade is. So if they know it's a long and it's going to get liquidated at a certain price point, you never really know, then they could short the market, try to get it to that price point, because then that would cause, more liquidations, a cascading effect of that to happen. So who knows, but this is a trade to watch. It's happened before. There was a $1.6 billion spot buy in a 10-minute period in last October. That turned out to be a good trade for that whale, whoever it was. It was right here. They bought at 54,000. Then over the next week or two, the prices went up to 65,000. Most people speculated that trade was in anticipation of the U.S. approving a Bitcoin futures ETF fund, which they did approve a week or two later, and that's what caused prices to go up. So regardless of what it was, that turned out to be a savvy trade. And generally, the more money the whales have, with the exception of 3 Arrows Capital, funds like that, generally whales are a little savvier with their trading than the general public is. So on the surface, you try to kind of figure out if this is a buy or sell, because this whale probably is going to be a more savvy trader than the normal person, discounting the 3 Arrows Capital effect. Let's move on to the markets today. Excuse me. So Bitcoin about 21,900. This is normal weekend action here. Sort of up, down. Prices went down a little bit Sunday night. This happened to just kind of randomly coincide with the news of the now debunked article of Elon's affair with Sergey Brin, whatever. It's been fully debunked, but this little price dip, it was a little bit the Sunday price dip effect, but it's happened at exactly the same time that article came out. So yeah, certain things, certain people, certain projects that really affect the market, for better or worse, but Tesla and Elon definitely are one of those things. Any kind of news about them does have an effect. Prices have rebounded slightly. They got down to about 21.6. Now they're at 21.9. So we shall see. Poll of the day. So what's everyone's BTC price prediction with the interest rates on Tuesday and GDP data Wednesday? Just put this up about an hour ago. So far, up is winning with 66%, down 16%, lateral movement 16%. I am definitely predicting up. I think it's going to be a slow creep up. The reason specifically is because the last macro announcement 2 weeks ago with the 9.1% inflation data, that really did not cause too much of a hiccup. Previous inflation data announcements in the months prior had caused much bigger negative price reactions, but the 9.1% was worse than the 8.8% we were predicting, and it really didn't have any negative price reaction whatsoever. Actually, the prices started pumping right afterwards. That was 2 weeks ago, so I think since this is a similar kind of announcement, and most people know it's probably going to be 75 basis points, could be 100, probably 75. I think, if anything, this is, once the announcement's over, I think it's going to cause a price pop. That's my opinion there. Analysts are kind of divided on Twitter. This person on a scale of 175, how much is the market going to tank? This person, breaking interest rate hike will likely be 75 basis points lower than the 1% previously expected. This is a bullish narrative, very good news for crypto. This person here, the rejection is going to be epic. So you don't really know who's right. It's once you get on Twitter, you just get to see a lot of opinions that can play with your mind, especially the negative opinions. Fear can get back in there, but I definitely think that the market has sort of changed momentum, the pulse of the market. I think it is on an upswing right now. That's definitely my opinion. Let's get into some news for the day. FTX, they're on a buying spree here. So they're looking to buy Bithumb. That's a South Korean exchange. They didn't give a price. This sort of fits the typical FTX acquisition model. A company that was once a much bigger player, had a solid business model previously, and for random one-off reasons, the companies are sort of at a lower valuation than normal. Bithumb was the third or fourth biggest exchange back in 2017, 2018 in terms of trading volumes. It was literally Binance, Coinbase, and then Bithumb and Upbit were the next two. Now they're, I think, at 21 here in terms of annual daily trading volume. So South Korea just isn't the major player it was back in 2017, 2018, and that's where this exchange is located. So that's why it's sort of at a discount right now. It's not quite the big player it once was. The other news, FTX. So FTX put in a bid for Voyager recently. They didn't say the amount. Voyager rejected it, calling it a lowball bid dressed up as a white knight rescue. So this is the first time we're kind of seeing, the narrative shifting a little bit here. FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried have always had a sort of positive PR completely. In the last few weeks, it's not quite as positive as it has been. Sort of similar to, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. When he first came out, it was all positive. Then he took sort of some negative PR a little bit early in his career. Then he kind of got back on track. That looks like a little bit what's going on here. Then SBF and FTX responded by saying that the lawyers are against the liquidation proposal because they just want to drag it on long enough and then increase the fees that they earn, whereas the customers should come first, and the longer it's it's dragged out, the more the lawyer's making fees and the less the customers make from what's left in Voyager. So, both arguments kind of hold weight here. Then again, you don't really know if Voyager has too many other buyout bids going on. I guess there is a bunch of privates. There's like a private auction going on to buy Voyager, but nobody really knows who is bidding in that, what those prices are. See where that goes. What else? On the altcoin circuit, Cold DAO just continuing to sort of quietly just dominate here. This is the 7-day chart right here. I mean, look at that right there. That's just that's just a beautiful looking curve right there. On the 30-day, they're up 144%, vastly outperforming the market. Very quietly, they came out with their spin-off ecosystem Revolt coin a couple weeks ago. That was successful too. That's been the increased buzz right there. Here's a couple partying in Vegas this past weekend. They apparently made 12x return from getting in on the pre-sale. The Revolt coin a few weeks ago, just opened to everyone. Now they're celebrating their winnings in Vegas, poolside. That's what I like to see. The signs, bull market's coming back and coming back. People, altcoins coming back. People celebrating. This is the kind of stuff I look for here. That's good. But yeah, that's it for today. So it'll be kind of bigger episodes later in the week with the interest rate announcements. It's a volatility expected. I'm definitely bullish, but stay tuned to the markets. Could go in any direction. That's it for now. See everyone tomorrow with a new episode. Until then, this is Ben, signing out. Later.